Welcome to another episode of Chaotic Harmony, episode 149. I'm your host and moderator of this maddening episode, Jonathan Seligman, because today we have a pretty big cruise. Maybe a big cruise, probably more accurate. We are joined by the founder, Crystal Pridmore. Hello, Crystal.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, good to see you. It's been a hot second.
It has been a hot second. It's good to be back.
It's great to have you. Yeah. We also have the one who usually brings the fun, but I don't know about today. Jamie Gunn. Hey, Jamie.
That's me. It just might be fun in a different way.
And then we need a little bit of this, some sensibility. The sensible one, Jasmine Mah. Hello, Jasmine.
Heyo.
The king of cardigans, Marc Keehmer.
Hello.
And the queen of multiple faces. I need a better name for you, Sasha, but alas. Hello, Sasha.
Hello, I'm back.
She's back at it. Yes. Typically, I would love to hear how everyone's doing, but I feel like we have a full episode today, so we're just going to get right at it. Before we do, though, a little bit of housekeeping. This is Chaotic Harmony, the show where we talk about the joys, struggles, and all things adjacent to elementary music. Last week, we had a really good conversation beckoning the question, why do arts matter, or why should they matter? Or should they matter? Or should anyone care at all? So it may seem like an obvious question to us music educators, but with budget cuts happening in California and across the country, we need to ask it. If you missed that episode, do make sure you join us. But that was last week. Today, we are talking about all things AI, artificial intelligence. In case you've been under a rock, it's kind of everywhere. And it's kind of also a double-edged sword. It's argued that it can help greatly with productivity and is able to be a gateway for those who don't have the tools to be able to do things. But also, it is argued that with productivity comes off the backs of people who will never see a penny off of it. So, why is that important to Chaotic Harmony? It's found its way into music education. I shared this with you all before. Like recently, my district is emphasizing AI, Copilot. It is being used inside of our VAPA meetings. And Mark, I texted you at the end of the meeting. I was like, dude, this person mentioned AI 4 times in the past 30 minutes. I was like, goodness. And also there's a lot of apps that just exist overall for music education. So kind of if you saw the episode already, we're asking, does AI have a place in music education? Before we get to the thick of it, the flow of this episode is going to be very different than your usual podcast that we have typically. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start out with the harmony section. We're going to be okay, guys. We're going to be okay.
We'll see.
Just to make sure everyone is heard, I'm going to go around and we'll do like probably Crystal, Jamie, Jasmine, Mark, Sasha, and everyone is going to share more or less a 2-minute spiel on their thoughts on AI in music education. I know it's going to peter into other areas, but try to focus a lot on music education. And then I'll ask a couple of rebuttal questions per side, pro and con or whatever. And then we'll enter the chaos where I will ask a question on AI and then we'll see where the conversation takes us. Y'all ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
All right.
Go.
Crystal. Man, that was reluctant to go. Crystal.
Let's go.
What are your thoughts on AI in music education?
I don't think that AI has a place in education. I don't want to see it used in education at all. I think the entire point of education is to have humans learn from humans. We need to learn from our past. We need to get deep into our own thoughts. We need to synthesize for the future. So when it comes to the use of AI in education, I am firmly against. As we were saying before, I do think it has its applications, but not in the classroom.
Mm. Well, there's another minute for a use, but
okay, great. I don't know.
Wish.
It really bothers me that my kids who are in middle school now, they're both teens, do their work and they just have built-in AI features that help write their sentences for them. I'm like, you're in middle school. You need to be learning how to construct a paragraph. And I sure as heck do not want AI writing songs for our kids. So its place in music education? No, absolutely not. You need to be listening to those sick beats and figure out how to make them yourself, not let some robot do it for you. The whole point of music education is to form artists. You can't do that if you're relying on the machines.
All right. Cool. Jamie, how about you?
We'll see if I can keep it in 2 minutes. I am very against AI at all, especially in music education, but like, I know that there are some uses. I have heard of some like uses for AI that I validate, like in translation devices and like we can't avoid it. I know it. It's already in our search engines in some form. It's already in some spaces that can be useful. But I guess if I could really condense it, there are 3 reasons. One is environmentally, it's not eco-friendly. 2, it's there are a lot of humanitarian reasons. So that encompasses a lot, which includes like it decreases our human interactions with each other. It makes us more like lazy human beings and makes us like not give as much of an effort. It just has us like just enables us to be more into the convenience culture. And the third biggest reason is about ethical reasons too. Like, for example, there was this one session that I went to about AI for making music curriculum. A colleague of mine looked up, what if it makes a curriculum about Native American music? You can imagine what will come up with AI with just a reflection of what society says about any kind of cultural group. So is that my 2 minutes, or I could keep going?
You still got 30 seconds. I got
you. Dude.
Mark's doing my job. Shoot.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so those are like 3 big encompassing reasons why I'm very against AI. I do see that there are some uses, but that's only if we have guardrails and regulations and policies and people actually have the literacy, like how we have media literacy for the internet, we need literacy for AI, but I don't really see that happening. And that's my issue with AI, why I'm against it.
Oh, right in the nose, Mark. Hey, nice. All right, Jamie, you get a bonus star. Jasmine, how about you? What are your thoughts?
I'm going to be quick because I'm pretty much in agreement with Crystal, where I see, and a bit with Jamie, I don't see AI in education, especially because even now when I see it with younger kids, it creates this era of convenience. And that convenience is everything. There's a lack of patience. There's a lack of growing, like the long term, because it can just immediately come to you. I do see its uses as a tool in terms of translations. It sometimes helps simplify things for students, neurodivergent students. It helps simplify those tasks and aids them in those kinds of things. So I see it as a tool, but it's lacking the regulation and it's lacking the guardrails to make that tool effective. And it becomes more of a crutch that they continuously depend on. So that's where I'm kind of like, I can see the potential of it becoming a very useful tool. However, we don't have the regulations and we don't have the guardrails and the research done enough to provide solutions on the how to do that for it to be an effective tool, and it becomes more of a crutch for our students and for anyone currently.
Thank you, Jasmine. Appreciate that. Mark, how about you?
I might be the only pro with, guidelines, of course, with some stipulations with it. I think for me, AI is, it's here no matter what. Like we can do whatever we want to try and fight it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to dollars, and people who are making a lot more money than we are get to decide what they want to do, whether or not they are a good person or not. So I think that's the realist in me of like, yes, we can fight it. Yes, I cannot use it and not contribute to it. But at the end of the day, it's going to be around. So I think for me, because we are at the beginning portions of it, we have an opportunity to try to make those guidelines. We have an opportunity to try and use it for good, because I mean, students, kids, teenagers, they're going to get access to it, like regardless if it's going to be in school or not. So we could do is we can try and guide them to a way to use it responsibly, to understand that there are going to be videos that are AI made. There are going to be photos and deepfakes that are AI made. And how do you look at that, and how do you look different? Like, how do you look at it differently? I think one of the things for education, and I hope you all would agree with me, is that education tends to be very behind business and, in big tech, which, I mean, understandably so, it can't move as quickly as some of those companies can. But I think the more that we try and not lean into, well, this is going to be our future, how do we use it for good? I think we're not going to help ourselves with kids or teenagers wanting to do what we offer, because it's not hip to the times. It's like, okay, we're only going to listen to Gregorian chant music because that's pure music. Like, they're not going to care about it. Like, no offense, there's some beautiful Gregorian chant out there, but it's just not relevant. And we have to try and stay relevant, because this generation of kids, Gen Alpha, and even who's coming after them, their world is completely different from what we grew up in.
Sorry, Mark.
That's okay.
Broke my own rule.
That's okay.
Cool. Thank you, Mark. And I'm eager to jump into it, but I do want to hear Sasha as well. Sasha, please take the floor.
All right. I don't like AI for a lot of reasons. I have used like AI tools in my classroom. Last year, I'll admit, like, I did a whole songwriting unit with Suno, because I was like I was so burnt out. I had nothing else to give my students, and I was trying to, like Mark said, meet them where they're at. But for me, I felt sick to my stomach, and I still do. Like, I still feel guilty that I had students like write their own lyrics, but then AI created like every other aspect of it. Because I feel like I took away the process of writing original music with my students. I don't know if you've noticed this, but my students think everything is AI, and they cannot tell the difference between reality and like what is artificially created. And I think that's like, we don't know what that's going to do to their psyche in the long term. If they are like constantly questioning, did a person make this, or did like something artificial make this? Like, for example, today, my students were like, this video is AI. It's Danny Go, who, if you don't know, he's pretty cool. But he uses a green screen. And it's like, to me, I know that's a green screen, but my students don't have, like, our little ones, they don't have those skills yet. So I think that it takes kind of the humanity out of learning in a way, because we're putting these tools into their computers that like spell check is great. That's like an artificial intelligence, right? But it's not writing for them. And we already struggle with our writing. And I have a lot of guilt about it. Like, I don't even want to accidentally use AI, because it just like bothers me so much. So I'm more in Jamie's camp with this one, but I do see the value of like, especially like translations and our students who are neurodiverse, who need like those extra supports. I think there's a person I know who created a bot that helps to write neuro-inclusive language into lesson plans. Like, those things are amazing. But someone had to build that, sit there and build it. And then like, I feel like their time and their knowledge is being used, but so quickly and then discarded and cheap. I don't want to say cheaply, because that's not what it is, but I feel like there's a disconnect, and it's like, we should just pay these people who are experts in neurodiversity, like how we should pay them to teach us how to be more inclusive than them creating a bot for us to ask a question to. Yeah. That was probably 3 minutes. Sorry, Mark.
Mark, how'd you do?
I didn't time anyone else except Jamie.
Oh, what?
Because Jamie was the only one who was worried about going over. So
Oh yeah, it's true. Thank you.
Fair.
Thank you.
I think I went over too. Drop it in the chat. What did how long I went over?
John, how about you?
Yeah.
I find that all of us have some level of reticence. I feel like we're all on the spectrum of on reticence, but some lean more towards anti. I feel like I recognize AI as a tool. AI is a tool that can be used, and I'm speaking broadly right now, not yet in music education, but broadly, AI is a tool, and a tool is not inherently evil. Yes, there are a lot of ecological problems, but I also recognize that, say, a lot of people complain the fact that when we were looking for batteries for EVs, like there was like, what do we do? How do we dispose of those batteries? And that doesn't mean that we should just abandon EVs, but we should actually look into how to better solve this problem. But in regards to Jamie, you mentioned about the Native American, was it music curriculum or like music in general? Like just
They were trying to make a unit about Native American music, and it was not bringing up any music that was actually from culture bears. It was just other people's perspectives on Native American music.
Yeah. And so like in the end, AI is only scrubbing based off of what is out there and what is placed on there that is most accessible or what is most placed out there. And so there's always going to be a bias that AI cannot discern what, or at least not yet, what is just the bias versus what is true. AI is good at reading, but not reading comprehension.
or writing. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. My bad. Sorry.
No, you're good. And so I find, but in the sake of music education, I lean more in the Crystal and Jasmine realm, and all like Jamie and Sasha kind of mentioned it as well, but just that there is a necessity towards human connection. But I also recognize that tools are tools, and they can be good. So actually, I then, as the moderator, I would like to propose. So I want to throw some questions out there to the pros and to the cons. Right now, I'm sorry, Mark, you're the only pro at the moment. We're leaning more towards pro. So you mentioned, Mark, that like the necessity of that education is almost always behind the times. And I do get that for sure. I've always said that education is a big beast with moving parts, and it takes a long time for those parts to move together to catch up. But is it necessary? Do you find that it is necessary for music educators to be always using the highest tech tools to teach music?
No, because I mean, if you look in your classrooms, you use instruments that are not the highest tech. Like you use body percussion, you use singing, your voice isn't like the highest tech. So no, it's not necessary. But I think that if it is something that is completely disregarded, then people are going to use it anyway. It's like the internet. Like you can do what you can as an educator and as a school to try to make sure kids are safe on the internet. But when they get home, they type in websites that they're not supposed to be at. Like it's going to happen. And also, like, it's not necessarily educators' responsibility to monitor what everyone is doing outside of school. You can do what you can in school. You can do what you can to provide the traits and all of the I'm at a loss for words at this moment, but you can do what you can to provide it and to teach people to be good humans. And at the end of the day, if they go home to a family that has completely different values than what you're trying to teach, those are the values that they're going to inherit.
It's true. Yes.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I know that this is the harmony session, but feel free to anyone else who can jump into what Mark says. If you hate it or love it, yeah. We don't have to be harmonious all the time.
No, that kind of reminds me of like parenting in general, because it's like, it's not we us as teachers may try to teach our children to have certain values, and exactly what you're saying, the parents and families that they have at home or caretakers or loved ones may not reflect that at all. And I'm just thinking about some family members that I already have who have at my nieces and nephews, and they're chatty kids, but in such a loving and amazing way. And then when it's time for adults to talk and the kids are trying to talk to the adults and try to like talk to them, the adults give them a screen, and then they're just glued to it because the adults want that break. And like, I'm not a parent, so of course I don't have a say in or a perspective as a parent with my own child. And I do see and validate that it is hard to be a parent. It is hard to have children. It is hard, especially if you're a single parent. It is hard to juggle having a job, providing for your child, and just surviving. But then it becomes more of an institutional thing, because there should be systems in place to help support parents and families to be able to have that time to spend with their child and not worry about like having this job or having a break or being able to like be their own person and still be able to have time to spend that with a child and still talk to their child. But not everybody's situation is like that. And that could be exactly the same thing that's happening with AI. But yeah, AI might just be the convenience for whatever the situation is. Like, it's convenient to have AI make all these fun pictures of anime style faces. It's convenient and it's fun for the children. It's fun for the adults. It's convenient for AI to make all this art that looks like you or what you would look like in the future. It's convenient to have AI do all these things. And the convenience culture is tied to institutional things, supports that are not in place. Mm-hmm. And
it's a huge
AI is feeding into that.
It is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just like screen time, just like the
fun.
internet. Yeah, AI is feeding into that. So yes, absolutely. We can't avoid it.
I made a comment after we had our kids. Oh my God, I've been a parent for almost 15 years, which is weird. But I remember talking to a friend after we had our kids about how it felt like we still very much as a culture have that whole children should be seen and not heard ethos, even though we like to think that we don't. It's like when you are parenting small children, it's not acceptable to be out in public and have them act like kids and be rambunctious. And I had people yell at me for letting my kids climb trees, or, they would be sitting down, but they'd be yelling, at each other once in a while in a restaurant. And technology was brand new. The iPad came out the year before we had kids.
Oh, man.
I know. That's how freaking old I am now. But I just refuse to give the kids iPads because it chilled me to the bone to watch my little kids and my mommy and me classes like pull the iPad out of the diaper bag and swipe and find the app at age 2, and I was like, oh my God. And I get it, because like being a parent is relentless. It is absolutely, it's just a recipe for overstimulation. And sometimes you need something for them to do that is not destroy you and everything around them. But we also are lacking as a society that we need to be like, hey, we get it. You have small children, and small children take up space and they make noise. And so, yeah, it is an answer to this problem that we have where I just always feel like our society doesn't like kids very much.
I posted on Threads. I noticed like this something. I was like, I need to ask someone. Like, and no one's responding to me on Blue Sky. So I was asking.
Because no one's on Blue Sky.
My bad. Yeah, I'm not. Sorry.
There's not a lot of teachers. That's for sure. Other places I follow do, but regardless, I was curious. Like, I was at this bakery and I heard this girl cry. It's a baby girl cry, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I hear babies cry in public. And I was like, is this common? So I just asked, the internet, and
Not acceptable. You better beat it if your baby starts crying. Like, people don't like kids, and they sure as heck don't like moms.
so it was really interesting to get a response from a bunch of just randos, which is why I loved pre-Twitter or Twitter pre-X. Like, just people just would just send responses without being ugly about it. And a lot of parents were sharing like, yeah, I actually am apprehensive to take my kids out because I don't like being judged by other people. And so going back to what you were saying, Crystal, this whole notion that, this seen, not heard is very valuable. Like I agree with it. I think also it exists in education as well. Like there's bring it back to music education. I think that a lot of teachers dislike chaos. And so it's a necessity though. It's a necessity to have kids interact with the messiness. But if you have a kid in front of a computer, like right now, the unit I'm having my students do for 5th grade is working on BandLab, which it's not AI, but it's still technology. And it's still a way for kids to work in siloed spheres. But I'm mixed about that, to be quite frank. Yeah. But I also I threw a question towards Mark, and I want to throw a question towards the pro. Like I said, the antis, the cons. Like we talk about, we talk about how do we make music education more accessible. I place stickers on my ukuleles, and that's like a good way for kids to interact in a quick way. We try to find ways that's not much friction. How is AI not an extension of that?
Because the AI is interacting with the child. And I think that is the thing that is the most insidious, I guess, for lack of a better word, but I have a great deal of trepidation, just like in my gut when it comes to AI. And, we have that ethos that children should be seen and not heard. And so kids know that. They're perceptive. They get it. They know that that the people around them, when they're in public spaces, don't want to hear them. They know that the adults want them to be quiet. So when they talk to a chatbot or an AI program, it is this thing that endlessly listens to them and takes their input and affirms it. That's addicting. And that's what creeps me out.
Sure, I hear that. But in a classroom setting, I guess I've never, Sasha, I've never worked with Suno. Is it kind of similar as well? Like when kids...
I never let my students work directly with Suno. I was the only person who interfaced with it because it was not... it was blocked on their Chromebooks, rightfully so. And 2, because I did not trust the AI technology. Almost every single, when I first started doing it, it was like a year or something ago when I did this. It was like January of 2025. I was like at my limit, right? When I used it. Every week that I logged into it, it had an update. So it was like very new at that. It was constantly being updated. And even for me as like an adult who has been around technology for 20 years or whatever, I was having difficulty like with it talking, how it was talking with me sometimes. And I ended up changing it. I don't know if that feature is there anymore, but like basically it was like, I just input it and push the buttons and then it goes and it does that. But there was something where you can work with it to create the song. It like, help me write a song. It's like, well,
it asks I don't need questions and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a similar, I tried it last year as well.
Okay.
It would ask you questions. And sometimes I was like, I don't like that. And I was the only person moderating it. And I would give the children questions and then they would give me very big specifics. And we talk about, and I agree with Sasha. Like I just filled out the like prompts and was like, create.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did not.
No.
AI is not allowing Sasha to speak. It's clear.
Oh, the machines are taking over.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Skynet's taking over,
Sorry,
No,
Sasha.
no,
I don't know if
one.
you can hear, but okay.
We lost her.
Okay.
She's back.
Oh, she's
Hi.
back.
You were in the middle of talking about Suno.
Oh, she's, I think, setting adjustments.
Oh. What was your original question again, John?
My question was, if we are
What's the difference between putting stickers on your ukuleles versus using AI as a tool in class?
It was a specific situation, but more broadly, like, how is AI not just another tool for accessibility for students to interact with music?
I think it's because with a tool, you could take it away and the student's still progressing. With AI, it sometimes becomes the crutch. So it's also where is that line of this is hindering a student's learning versus helping a student learn is where I'm at the cautious, because more often than not, I see it hindering the learning of it's going to make it for me. I don't have to think about it. I'm not going through that process of thinking and creating and imitating because it's doing it for me versus I'm using this as a tool to help facilitate and to learn from.
But could it be argued that if you see a bot create music live, for lack of a better term, that the students can learn from the process?
Why would they do it themselves if they can get the robot to do that? And I feel like that's where a lot of the issues are coming from that I'm hearing teachers say, and that I observe with my kids and with their friends is, why would I learn how to do that thing if AI can do it for me? What's the value?
I mean, that's not just kids, though. That's everybody.
Yeah,
It is everybody.
And that's the concerning thing for everybody, because that's like I'm seeing it in college students. I'm seeing it in my students of why do I need to lesson plan, for example, if I have AI that will write me all these units. And it's that mindset where I'm like, it starts hindering that thinking process of rather than building your own and getting those foundations set up. It's hindering that process because then there's no foundations because you're like, well, AI will make it for me. I don't need to think on it.
The thing is,
right.
Sorry, go for it, Crystal.
Oh, when the whole point of the exercise is to do the hard work so that then you have the pathway in your own brain. So you don't have to write it down.
Yes, but I think that AI, what it's great for is throwing things against the wall. It is great for me to understand, okay, this is what another thing, it's like without going to professional, which again, there's pros and cons to that. It's something I can throw against the wall and see what sticks, what doesn't stick, what's another perspective. And I guess the question is, are children under the age of 18? We talked about this before record. I think it was Crystal, like students, you think AI shouldn't be used by individuals?
I don't think kids
18.
should have access to it. Yeah, I don't think that that you should be able to use it until you have a mostly developed prefrontal cortex and you've done the hard work of learning from paper and pencil and humans first. I think that we shouldn't have one-on-one technology in classrooms. I think we should bring back paper and pencil.
I agree.
John, what do you mean by AI is good for throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks? Do you have an example?
Sure. What if I told you this whole script was written by AI? But also actually for funsies, I did ask the GPTs, like, what were your thoughts on form and structure of this podcast? And 90% of it I thought was trash. But that 10%, it's like, okay, there's some validity to it. And then I made it my own idea. Like, I initially was a joke and then it became a reality. It's like, okay. But also another thing what happened was like, so Mark is very well aware that for my wedding, I was stressing like no one's business for creating the playlist for the dance because I'm not a DJ. I don't know the flow and structure of how things work. And I tried looking up online on ideas, but it just nothing was giving me ideas. And I've made tons of playlists and I should have just stuck with that, playlist, not like, it's like Spotify playlist, but like, 80-minute burn on a CD playlist, like the good old days.
A mixtape.
Get off of my lawn.
Yeah.
No, but really, we're talking a lot about like learning through the process. And that was really was helpful. And so I initially created this idea. I created a list of songs to do for the dance floor. And then for better and for worse, I decided, you know what? I tried looking on Google. I've tried asking friends for advice. What should I do for run of show, like for order? And AI, ChatGPT gave its flow of what it should do, what songs I should use. And I will write down what songs, well, rather, how should I order the songs I have? And there was some truth to it. I think 10% was a good idea, but then the rest of it was wrong. Like it started talking, or wrong is a relative term in this case, but it started saying I should have like the first 4 songs be a slow build up into it. And then you should bring it up. And then the fact that the dance floor was only open for like 70 minutes, maybe, like, no, you need to go right into it. And but I think it was a good idea to start off with Can't Stop the Feeling, just because we just went from a big performance and like we want to have people ease into it, but then go right into the heart. I should have just trusted my gut. But relying on AI, not relying on it, but asking AI to see, hey, what's this perspective on something I have no clue about, or rather this medium of music ordering I have no clue about. It was helpful to some extent. Problem is, I'm an overthinker. I do want to hear Jamie, because Jasmine, Jamie, you've been asking questions, and I want you to share your thoughts. Yeah.
That in that particular example, which can be applicable to other examples, the main difference is you already have the skill in making playlists. You already have the knowledge and basis of what is good and what is not. And because you've made playlists before and you know what the songs are and you know how to manipulate it and moderate it and adjust it to how you want it to be. In that case, you were using it as a tool. Children, most of the time, they have no prior knowledge about what is good, what is acceptable, or what is appropriate, or how to use it as a tool. And so most of the time, sure, there are some children who might come from families and backgrounds where they do have prior knowledge and they are moderated and so on and so forth. But most of the time, the children that we see, or not even children, there are plenty of adults, don't have the skills that you already have. And that's when it becomes a crutch. And that's when it becomes they become dependent on it without actually doing the work. You already have the neurons in your brain on how to do the work.
Yeah, where I was going at is pretty much what Jamie said, where it's you have the knowledge to disagree with it. Like, yes. The knowledge to combat it. If you're asking a child to combat it, it also uses language that often the children don't even understand. So the thought process is they're using this high vocabulary that I don't know. It probably knows more than me. Kids are really good at picking up patterns. And so is AI, to be completely honest. That's, I think, the point of it is to pick up patterns. So it's going to notice these patterns and do its best to tell it, whoever's asking its prompts to assist it. But ultimately, if we have the knowledge to combat it, it could be used more as a tool. But thinking of the younger generation, like people who are using it and they're like, well, it's using all the knowledge of the internet. Not really. It's picking up patterns and it's giving you the information based on that. But you have to have the prior knowledge to disagree with it. If you
there are plenty,
you're dependent.
Yeah. And there are plenty of times where AI is wrong. It just picks up information and facts that are not actually true. So if you just believe it without actually researching it or knowing that it's incorrect or making the effort to check on it, then you might be believing a lot of lies that it's just coming up with just to satisfy your dopamine addiction.
Yes. Yeah, I remember I was asking my students, we were doing a song back for the winter music concert. And we were doing Summer in My Memory by John Williams from Home Alone. And I was kind of like, what do you call it? Putting the breadcrumbs down, like asking kids, like where do you think this is from? And because they recognize the tune before having the notes. And then I forget what I asked, but I asked it was it's written by composer. It's on my composer wall, and blah 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 blah. John Williams. And this one student said came up and she opened up her phone. It's like, did John Williams write who wrote the score to Home Alone, and for some reason AI didn't have like the Google AI didn't have the immediate answer, and so she shows it on my phone. It's like, oh, it doesn't have the answer. It's like, girl, just look it up. It's like there are tools.
Yeah.
Beyond AI.
They don't just Google anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jamie. Because
Google, but they don't actually Google. They Google AI.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a difference between Googling and Gemini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And asking
that
Gemini.
reminds me of Mark's story during the pandemic of like teaching a quarter note music, and like Mark's the little girl that was like, Alexa, what's a quarter note in music? After you spend like an hour teaching.
Tumbling.
Did Alexa have the answer?
Obviously.
I don't know.
The music teacher sure as hell didn't. I do, just for sake of this conversation, I think it would be helpful for me when we are talking about children, are we talking about exclusively elementary children? Because I think that also that makes a difference. Because yes, I agree. Like a 5-year-old with complete limited AI, like it's not great. Like even social media, they're supposed to be a certain age before they start using it.
Yes.
And so, Crystal, you made a point earlier of like you don't want to wait till they're 18 or have them wait till they're 18 because of all those dopamine hits. I think that if that's what we want to do, great. But then we should also, as a society, have like, okay, well, you can have social media till 18 because it's the same.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. And I'm in the middle of like, when do I give my kids a phone? And we have held out like weirdly long. Thank you. Yeah. It's really, really freaking hard. And we do what we can in our household to like hold back the tide. But man, like being a parent and trying to hold back the entire internet, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's impossible. Their friends all have phones.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so like, I just don't want my kids to have access to the internet at school at all. I just don't, like, unless it's being moderated by a teacher. I don't want it on their devices. I don't want them getting those voices on their devices. I don't think it's valuable. I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it's good for them.
You say you don't want the internet on their devices. Like,
yeah, I don't. I don't want them working out of a Google Classroom. I don't think that they need to be doing that in middle school.
I guess
I'm telling you, if I could limit them to paper and pencil, I would.
But like, I guess like since I know we are like 4 years apart, but like for me, middle school, I learned a lot through Google, and I learned a lot through like Wikipedia was the whole that was the evil place to go. Now it's like more reliable than other places.
Yeah,
but,
it's true.
I benefited a lot from learning from areas that were beyond me because I didn't have like my only access at the moment to my library, unfortunately, wasn't walking distance. And also we had, encyclopedias, but the internet was a gateway into understanding different stuff. And the thing is, I was a curious person, and it's very different than AI. But are you saying that like even like access to like you prefer if there was no access to like Google?
Yeah, I would prefer that they have encyclopedias, and I would prefer that they not have access to the internet until they are old enough to have an intelligent conversation about it and a generalized base of knowledge. I think it'd be okay for a teacher to show a curated selection. Maybe, to your point, maybe we have a digital encyclopedia, but it's not the wide open Wild West where they can just go stumble upon any pictures that they want and any information coming from God knows where. I just think that we have immersed this generation in a social experiment without any of us consenting to it, where we're raising kids in this environment with this access to technology and the internet that nobody knows how it's going to affect their psyche long term. And my parents, when I talk to them about the things that I'm facing with like trying to moderate my kids' technology use, and how do we handle that when they go to sleepovers, and how do we handle that when they walk home from school and their friends are showing them stuff on their phones in the school parking lot, like they have nothing to tell me because it's brand new. And so introducing AI, these intelligent chatbots, to our kids, and these endlessly like learning and evolving programs to our kids on school time on their school devices, I don't want it. And I want to get as far away from it as possible. And maybe I'm just going full on crazy foil hat wearing Luddite at this point. But yeah, as a tired mom with 2 teens, it feels really dark.
I think social media is definitely a darker place. Gosh, and I hear you there. And the world is different than how it was back in 2002, or the internet specifically was different. Man, bring back the days of forums. Maybe not. I don't know.
Do you miss my live journal?
I mean, Zanga was where it was at, but
Oh my
I
God,
accept
Zanga.
you. Dude,
Like,
Tumblr girly.
for me, though, internet was like how I got into music. Like, I didn't have the ability to afford a private teacher, so I had to go on Google Images. Like, I lived in the middle of nowhere. My internet was horrible. But the only way I learned how to play bass was I had to look up people playing bass on Google Images, and I copied pictures and printed them out. And that was
amazing.
Like how internet helped me, because I didn't have the funds to study. And I feel like it does give students, like the internet and potentially AI has the ability to give students who can't afford these things those accommodations and those supports. And it can be a support and it can supplement, but I don't think it should be the material. It's a supplement where it should be taken in moderation.
Yeah.
I agree. That's where my question on accessibility was not just out of the blue. Because I agree. Like I think there's so many moral panics that exist. People thought that bicycles were an evil thing, whatnot. When it first came out, people thought, yeah. There is this wonderful podcast that it's no longer. You know what, Mark?
Evil. You try driving in Indiana with bicyclists. Impossible.
You know what? Maybe you should
not
be less
a
car-centric,
city.
Mark. You should be less car-centric, just saying.
Or unmanned elevators, too, caused a whole panic.
Yeah. There's this podcast that it's now called Build for Tomorrow, which doesn't even exist anymore. But I forget what it was initially called. Go search it up. He does a whole two seasons worth of like inventions that existed that people thought were terrible and would cause, like, to the teddy bear. People thought the teddy bear would be a terrible thing because it made boys less masculine or whatever. And there's a whole so moral panics are a thing, and that's why I'm really reticent to think that AI should just be thrown in the trash because.
Yeah, but no teddy bear has ever given someone instructions on how to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's, the things that we're facing with our teens right now, like, and the questions that they have to ask and teaching them how to be discerning human beings when interfacing with this technology, it's just so much, so fast. And
it is.
Yeah, I don't like it.
So with that, Crystal, just to be a jerk, you're right.
Sure.
A teddy bear has, but a teddy bear has killed infants. They've suffocated them.
You're
so
right.
I think it's just how, like, everything's perspective, right? Like, and how we use it and how we interact with it. And I think with AI, it's no different than perspective. And I think that how we respond to younger folks who use AI is going to determine how secretive they are with it. I imagine, as somebody who doesn't have a teenager, I am only presuming or whatever, that if we respond in shaming people for doing things on the internet that don't hold our values, but they are curious, then they're only going to do that in the shadows. But if you're like, hey, like, okay, I see that you did this. I see that you searched this. I see that this is what you're using your chatbot for. Like, let's talk this out. Or like, let's address this, and like trying to address it in a calm, cool, collected way, even though like inside you might be on fire. That's, I think, going to leave a door open for conversations to still be had with young people or with children or your children specifically. Because again, if we immediately like, oh, you can't do that, and we immediately bring the hammer down with that. Well, that dopamine, that desire is still going to be there, and now it's just okay. Well, now I have to get sneaky with how I get it, as opposed
as
to
a parent. I agree with you. As a parent, as an educator, I don't think we need to have that that in our classroom? Like, don't you think that's more of a parenting question?
Well, that's kind of why I was bringing up AI literacy, just like how we have media literacy.
Yeah.
I'm glad that that's becoming more of a thing. I'm glad that finally we're having media literacy about the internet, about the sources that we look at. That should have been a thing a long time ago. Yeah. And I feel the same way about AI in that regard. That, yes, Mark, if we shame people about AI or whatever, then they're going to have that sort of reaction. They're not going to feel like they can open up to you or have a compassionate dialogue with you about these things. But and that's why we have to approach it in that respect compassionately too. Cause like, yeah, we can't avoid it. We're technology because of money, capitalist structures and things. It's booming. That's why it's so fast because organizations and there's money to be made. That's why it's booming everywhere. That's why there's so many data centers. That's why blah, blah, blah. We can't avoid it. But at the same time, I feel like it shouldn't. We need to put policies in place and we all have to work together for those of us who are against to try to work together to make sure that these companies or governments and laws can restrict it so that we can at least have AI literacy first before opening it so big. And if we don't have that right now, but in the meantime, in our personal relations and conversations with people, that's how we can at least approach it, to have like a little mini AI literacy talk with somebody about it. Oh yeah, that looks really cool. Did you also know that this, and this is going on? And it turns out in my experience, I feel this way about AI. Have that compassionate dialogue so that they're not so secretive about it. And maybe they can understand your feelings about it and not come from a shameful perspective, but more of a compassionate perspective.
Right. I don't mean to shame anybody. I hope it didn't come across that way.
No.
Yeah. I don't think we should be shaming anybody about using AI. I think that when it comes to the things that we put in front of our students as teachers in a classroom, I don't think that that any of the AI technologies are at a point where we can really trust them right now to give them to our kids directly. We certainly can't trust the people who created them to keep our kids safe. They've proven over and over again that they will put profits over people every time. We just don't know enough about what it's going to do to the kids and how they're going to sort this out. So sure, we need to be having the conversations. But do we need to be giving it to them and saying, use this thing? My answer is no.
So it seems like sorry, Mark. Yes.
Please go ahead.
It seems like you would be more okay if you did the approach that Jasmine and Sasha did, if the teacher's interfacing with the AI in a collective way so that students can
I think if you're going to use it in your classroom, I think that's the best way to do it. Absolutely.
Okay. I love all this conversation. I also recognize we have gone quite a bit. And there's a second portion of this, it's not going to equal the same amount of time, but there's a second portion to this. So maybe this is a good time for us to do a quick ad break. More, if you want to say something, sorry,
I think lastly, yes. In the case of folks who teach elementary education, I don't think it's unrealistic to ask districts and ask leaders like, hey, if social media has like a age limit for kids to have access to this on their school devices, we should too. I think that's totally fine. And I think that talking about it though, because it's still prevalent, you can do it. Like I can picture like, why not use Sono, the music one? Suno, excuse me. Why not use Suno to make it an absolutely horrendous piece of music and be like, this is what AI got. Like, this is what it does. Is this pleasure to like, do you want to be using this tool even though it's like, it's going to produce garbage? No, because you don't want to produce garbage. Like humans, when it comes to music creation, they can produce things that AI can't. This is what AI produces. This is the hot garbage. This is what John Williams produces. That's not hot garbage, So I think that as long as, so using it, kind of frame it that way, just talking about it. But again, I think absolutely for elementary education, if there is age restrictions, if not, whatever the right word is, for social media, then we should because it's a powerful tool, like you were saying, Crystal, and whatnot. Like, sure, I don't think that's unreasonable.
Mhm.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yep.
Well, we solved the thing, guys.
You're welcome.
We can quit.
Yeah, please don't. We need educators.
We
But
start a private equity firm.
oh my god,
Yeah, right. We're gonna build a chat
back to your
bot.
plan B.
No. Bad.
No.
Bad choice.
Well, before we get into Mark's plan B, maybe it's good for us to do a quick ad break. So we'll be back, y'all, after the break.
Hey, we just want to take a quick moment to shout out Mission Trails Financial, the partner making this show possible at no cost to you. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by financial planning, you're not alone. But Mission Trails Financial is here to make things simpler. They offer tailored financial advice for you, from investments to tax and insurance planning, with a team of experienced fee-based advisors who are CFP designated and fiduciaries. That means they're putting your best interests first. Let's face it, navigating the world of finances can feel like drinking from a fire hose with endless options for investments just a mouse click away. But Mission Trails Financial aims to cut through the noise by breaking things down into clear, actionable steps while providing regular updates. Mission Trails Financial believes everyone has the right to work with a financial advisor, regardless of how much you've saved. Mission Trails Financial's focus is building a relationship so you are not traveling your financial path alone. They even help you keep track of old 401ks when you're transitioning between jobs, because your financial future should always stay on track, no matter what changes. So don't wait. Let Mission Trails Financial show you how to make that next step towards the future you've worked hard for. Plus, your first consultation is absolutely free. Just visit missiontrailsfinancial.com or call 619-419-0238 today. You'll be glad you did, because leaning on professionals like Mission Trails Financial is how we get ahead. Check out the program notes for more details. Advisory services offered through New Edge Advisors LLC, a registered investment advisor.
And we are back, and there is more to this AI discussion, but just to make sure we get through the basic rigmarole, a hard left turn. Thank you all so much for being a part of this journey. Whether you joined us back in episode 0 or joining us now, it means a lot for you to be here with us. But you know, if you want to make sure this thing keeps on going, and you know, if you love the things if you love this, make sure you support things you love. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/chclassroom, where you can get special merch and also other printables. I apparently don't enunciate that clearly, so printables. April's principles are out, and also January's as well, so you can get that. But if, you know, subscriptions are kind of weird, so if you'd rather not pay us through subscription, but you want to still leave us a little thing, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/chaoticharmony, where you can, you know, just drop a little coin, and then, you know, you can also request a spiccato or just give a basic shout out. But if you don't have a coin to toss away, that is okay. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, write us something nice, that'd be wonderful, or any other podcast listening app. All these things ensures that the mics and lights stay on and that we're not consumed by bigger corporations or Suno. I don't know, you know.
Should they have AI write the review?
Ooh.
How ironic.
Yes.
Please don't. Yeah, safe in the heart, y'all. Safe in the heart. That all said, so spiccato is not spiccato. We actually no. We have a spiccato. I want us to react to some of our friends have sent us messages about their views on AI. I know a lot of you wanted to.
Go team.
But time is just hard. I get that. So I'm going to play a quick little bit from 3 people. First off is Rodlin Sese with her view on AI. Also, hopefully the sound works.
All right. So I know there's a general fear about AI being used in a music classroom, but I'm kind of 50-50 in the way we use it. So on one hand, like, I can see how it could be really helpful, especially when students get stuck. We don't always have a lot of time in our classroom, so using AI to generate something like lyrics could save us time and let us focus more on how to build the music in class. You can create accompaniment to like what was just generated, and it could be a useful shortcut so we can spend more time on the parts that we really want to dig into. So yeah, I do have some concerns for sure, because the fear again, like around it, is it could be misused. The students might rely on it too much and lose some of their own creativity, and that's what we're trying to hone. It can feel like we're risking something human in the process. So I don't think AI itself is the problem. I think it does come down to how we use it. As educators, we need to show students how to use it in a more thoughtful way, as a tool or as a guide, not really a replacement for making music. And at the end of the day, music is still about people creating and performing together. And that, in a sense of musicality, that's on us to build and keep alive. So, yeah.
That was solid.
Love her.
San Diego or president next year. Yeah. No, I like what she talks about, like the whole humanity element. I think that's something that's really important. It's so easy for us to think so much on productivity and try to get through the lessons quickly and most efficiently. But yes, the human connection is super important. All right, we're going to jump over now to Athena Reyes.
Athena Reyes here, ready to share that I think AI does not have a place in music education, primarily because I think the value of music education comes from human connection and being able to create community altogether, whether it's in a small setting, one-to-one, or maybe in a large en masse setting, especially as a band person. I do think there are ethical ways that we can approach AI. I've just started looking into it. Elisa Jansen Jones' Music Teacher Guild website is a really great place that I started to explore. I still don't think AI can ethically be utilized, because as soon as we go to and get used to going to AI or to a website, then we're missing the opportunity to learn from one another and connect with each other, even as colleagues. So if I have an issue with a student that I can't fix on my own, I could go to AI, and perhaps this Music Teacher Guild website, or there, I'm sure other apps through AI can help solve that problem. I, as a professional, will be able to connect with another colleague if I have a similar problem, and I'll be able to make that connection a lot stronger the next time that I might come across the same issue as I'm running a lesson. And for students, I want them on the screens less. We see more and more studies that are showcasing that. I want them to be able to build community, make connections, not just with me, but with each other. So big no for me. Curious to see what everyone else says.
It's I forgot to mention once we got back from the ad break, but unfortunately Crystal had to bounce. So, but I think so. Audio listeners, they don't know that. But I forgot to mention that. Sorry, my bad, y'all. The thing is, yeah, I think Crystal would have really appreciated that.
Yeah,
a lot. I think specifically the screen spit. Any thoughts on that one?
I completely agree with that connection piece. Like, if we're talking about building our community and you're not asking your colleagues for support, even it's helpful. There, you have a team. We don't work in silos for a reason, right? Like, your team can be there. Sometimes our teams are spread across schools, but yeah, that just asking another person for help and advice. Sometimes it also makes you feel a little less alone, because you're connecting in a way like, oh, I've also had this issue. Okay, I'm not alone. Chat doesn't have that. Chat's not going to be like, oh, I also had a student who had this problem. Here's what I did. So, and if they do, I'm feeling icky about it. But, if someone's like, oh, yeah, I also feel that way. I feel like I'm not the failure that I originally thought I was, because I can't reach this student.
I think, Sasha, on the other side of that is people feel that they're the failure because they don't know how to do it. And so they'll turn to AI because you can do that in secret. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of that. we have to pretend that we know everything all the time, and like there's that pressure to ask or to stop or to ask, like, I don't understand this, like, can you help me? Which is really unfortunate and is a larger issue than AI in the music classroom. But I agree with Athena. I think she made some really, really wonderful points. Yeah, I'll do that.
You're right. I totally agree that if you are new at a school and you felt like you didn't have that community like within your school site, like how turning to someone who's not judgmental necessarily would be a helpful first step.
We had a small, Chaotic Harmony had a small interaction with Dr. David Dokken. He responded to he did one on pop music 2 years ago. And also, Mark, you met him at Indiana Orff.
Wonderful session.
And he was talking about on the Matthew Trevino episode, he commented on like this, he pushes back on the notion of imposter syndrome, calling it imposter phenomenon, because it's more of like, it's not a condition, it's more of something that we all experience. And I think that kind of goes into what you were saying, Mark, about like, you were supposed to be experts on everything. And so there is an easy desire to try to jump towards like AI because it makes us feel less like an imposter, because it's a good outward fix kind of thing.
And also gives you that dopamine hit that we were talking about earlier, Yep.
We have one more response. This was from Aaron Keene. He wrote a response, so I'm just going to read it out loud. He says, as teachers, we prioritize creating a positive impact on the lives of our students. Because of that, using AI when it currently creates so much harm with the overconsumption of water has felt difficult to justify for me, especially given how our students as young people will bear the brunt of that ecological impact. However, sources like Hank Green and Andy Maisley have made me reconsider if that concern is truly justified. In terms of music education specific concerns, my initial thought was that AI would not be particularly useful in education because it would be taking over where students could otherwise be learning deeply. Now, though, I think I was wrong. For my classes, I don't know how to code, but AI is very good at it. On the other hand, I can write with standard notation easily, while AI is generally pretty bad at doing that correctly. I recently started making activities online for my classes using AI to make the code. It wasn't fast, like typing in a prompt and having ChatGPT spit out the results, and instead I spent many hours working on it. But now I have something I'm happy with and couldn't have done without using AI. Overall, my impression is that AI is a tool that certainly is more easy to use badly in music education, but when used well, can create greater outcomes for many classes. You got your pro there, Mark.
My man.
I agree. I think, yes, it's a tool. And I think but I think what we talked about in this episode is very apt. Because he was mentioning having him interface with AI, and having kids interface is a different scenario.
See, but I think it goes to that talk that Mark also mentioned, where it's like when you have that knowledge to disagree and understand that, it becomes more of a tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But at the same time, I question because of personal experience about how effective a tool it can be. So like I was mentioning earlier about, there's this one business called Jam, I think. And so it looks really cool. They try to make it look easy when they were giving their business spiel to us in our meeting. And they're saying, oh, just type in these questions and answer these things and answer these prompts, and it'll make a whole curriculum for you about whatever music lesson you want. And I looked through some of the videos, and it looked really, really interesting. And some of them could be, I feel like it could be a good sub plan if I ever did use it. But right when my colleague was using it for searching up Native American music, it if AI is supposed to make it easy, this did not make it easy because I took a good look at it and tried to rearrange the prompts or answer prompts in different ways. And I would have had to redo all of the work in order to make it culturally appropriate. So that's the unethical part because yes, AI is a reflection of our society. So of course, this AI produced curriculum would have just been a reflection of all the racism that society already has against certain populations. I would have had to redo all of that work. It wouldn't have helped.
Well, I think that segues pretty well into my final question because I know people say I like less than hour episodes. That ain't happening today, guys. But I think, so I mentioned in the very beginning of this episode that this is all stemmed from the fact that my district right now is using AI, not at the teacher level, but at the district level, where our admin is encouraging us to use AI to create scope and sequence, to create, the phrase was using giving fresh ideas. It allows us to create fresh ideas. And so, Mark, if you don't mind pulling up your phone, I want to can we do each of y'all? What are your thoughts with only a minute and a half? What are your thoughts on AI being used as educators from the educator perspective? Do you think that's a good thing or not?
Just a clarifying question, us as professionals?
For maybe I should say, what are your thoughts on admin encouraging us to use AI as professionals, not as teachers with students, but as professionals to help us create, Oh my gosh, what am I watching right now?
That's the signal for when your time is up.
Okay. Well, that's great for our visual listeners, for our visual watchers, but
viewers. Yes.
Thank you. So what are your thoughts on using AI or admin encouraging us to use AI as educators, not in the teacher realm, but as the creating tools realm? Let's start. For
the podcast listeners, I just stuck my tongue out and threw a big thumbs down to that question too.
And Mark,
should I expound?
Timer. Please do. Yeah, actually, just for sake of time, 1 minute. Why?
No, not 1 minute.
Ready, set, go.
This ties into the whole convenience culture too. I think it has no place with children or with adults or with any student. I'm glad that Sasha and Jasmine were able to moderate it when they were using it in the classroom. But I have mentioned this in other episodes too about how some of our colleagues who are new to teaching have no idea what they're doing and are depending on curriculums like Quaver to teach music. So they're not actually teaching. They're just playing whatever is on Quaver. AI would be exactly the same for these new teachers. And it's really sad, but some of our supervisors or higher ups and admin are at the music department level are enabling that sort of technique and teaching strategy. So instead of the teachers actually figuring out how to make lessons, they're depending on technology to do it for them instead.
Awesome. Jasmine, how about you?
Hopping off of what Jamie said, it also invalidates our careers. If you could just go on ChatGPT and make lesson plans, can't they just do that with everything? It's similar to the Quaver argument of if we could just go up on a website and have these kids watch these videos and they're fluent in music, quote unquote. Is it really that lessens the impact that our careers actually give towards students and creativity? But it's also that need for human interaction. When listening to all three of the responses, all of them mentions the need for human interaction and the importance of it, especially coming back from COVID. That missing part, and especially this younger generation not having that. Those fundamental human interactions. And I think that's where part of the convenience comes. like, and the need for technology, we were really glued to it during those times. And now we're kind of weaning off on it, coming back to it.
Boom, boom. I like that, Jasmine. And just before I get to Sasha, I think it's important that we also recognize there are a lot of new music teachers, and they are the ones that need the most assistance in learning. And so if you just give them ChatGPT, yeah, it's a good point. Sasha, how about you?
I mean, it's pretty encouraged in our district to use it. I remember we got an email at the beginning of this year of like, please use Gemini because we're a Google Suite school district. Please use Magic School, which is like an AI curriculum thing.
It was encouraged in one of our meetings too.
My VAPA director created a it's AVA, it's elementary VAPA assistant, chat system, and it's very, very encouraged. And I have a lot of guilt when I use it. I also feel that it's a convenience thing, as we've all kind of mentioned, versus a creativity thing. And ultimately we're all just stretched too thin. So we're kind of forced to use these shortcuts and these crutches because we don't have the support and time we need to do our job organically and correctly.
Cool. Thank you, Sasha. Marc, you have a different perspective because you are an admin. Share your thoughts. And should I have the timer, or can you self-time yourself?
Well, I'm self-timing, babe. I don't think that I've ever been like, you have to use AI or use AI. But I know that my colleagues do, and I know I have. And I think that using AI in a setting where you're trying to build systems that you are not an expert in or you're not really sure in, it's really helpful for some people. For example, I've learned that I am someone who likes to collaborate on things, but when I am by myself, I don't have anyone to collaborate with. And so AI, ChatGPT, Claude, those are partners who I collaborate with. And then once I have something, then I can take my product, go through it, and then give it to somebody else just to hey, can you just quickly look over this? Because Sasha, you're right. There's just not enough time. And I think for teachers, the question that you should be asking is why? What is the purpose behind us using this AI?
Mm-hmm. And I guess for me, I coming from a district that is cutting, I question the necessity. I think with budget cuts at the moment, this kind of stuff could have been taught through professional development, which could have cost less money. I don't want to get into the politics of it all, but I have asked, and this could have been spent towards people. And why especially since Copilot, which is the AI we use, it does cost, I think it's $30 a person a year. No, it's probably more than that. It's that could have been what spent towards people, and it's not. And I question also a teacher's salary, and I question how much. I question if the money is being spent properly. That's all. I think that's kind of where I come down to.
I'm very cynical. Yeah, no, it's probably not, because
this is what I was going to question. Sorry, Marc, and I'll go back to Jamie and we'll cut it off. But I question how many people actually use Copilot in our district, and is it worth it? There are probably admin, but as far as the teacher realm, how is it worth it? Jamie.
That's what you mean.
Yeah. Cynical.
No, I mean, why are we being encouraged to use AI? Because I feel in my immediate thought is that it's the same reason why grocery stores are using machines to do self-checkout, because it's cheaper to have a machine than to hire another person and for their wage and their pay. So that is a business model. It is a capitalist society. It sounds like, and Marc, you've already said before, education runs on business. They're doing the same thing with AI. They're going to do the same thing with Quaver because you don't need a music teacher to run Quaver. You could have just a classroom teacher run Quaver. A similar thing can happen with AI. And so it's maybe I might be giving a big scare or going to an extreme by saying AI is stealing our jobs. But technology has already taken jobs from people in other settings.
I had a bunch of zesty questions I didn't use, but one of them was, are we scared of AI or are we scared of the humans who control AI? And I think it's really the latter.
It's the humans who are
systems that we are being destroyed from,
Yeah. And they're the ones who are saying, we value money. And so it's cheaper to have AI instead of people. That's greed.
That's just, yes, Mark.
I think that, the Sam Altmans, the Mark Zuckerberg, they're so out of touch with actual reality because their life is so different than ours because they have all of this money that they can do. And they have these people who are around them, who are telling them certain things. And like, that's not what actual day-to-day life is for middle class, folks or lower middle class folks or low class folks. And then lastly, I looked up, according to Microsoft, it's $18 right now or $21 for Copilot. So I don't know if that's just teachers. Yeah. I don't know if that's just teachers or students for everyone in your district who has it. And then Sasha, what I'm wondering for you is for Gemini, is that an additional cost for it? And then going back to what Jamie said about Quaver is like, you're absolutely right. Like Quaver is this tool that is used for music education. Whether or not it's great or good is debatable depending on who you are. But I think that with music education, and I've been in these classrooms where a bulk of the teaching is done through a YouTube video, and like that's not great. No, and so it's hard to defend a program when that's someone's approach to teaching, and then you have an administrator who doesn't necessarily understand what it takes to have a good program or a good thing. And so they see that like, well, I don't want to pay this person all this money. And so see you later, we'll get a Quaver, we'll get something else to do this. And what it comes down to in my brain is what is everyone's end goal? And what do you want your district to do? What do you want to brag about your district? And if it's AI right now, I guarantee you the pendulum is going to swing in the future hard the other way, because that's what things in education do. They swing hard left, they swing hard right. It overcompensates. And so right now, because our AI is the newer sexy thing, everyone's on board with it, and it is the wild, wild west. And oh, go ahead.
Well, I push back on that because it's going to be a long episode. I push back on that because I think that the whole pendulum swinging, there's a validity towards that. But I think what we have is an issue. We have an epidemic of cutting costs. And that is really what is driving, from my perspective, administrators encouraging us to use AI. Maybe not directly the administrators I'm working with, but the ones above. Like, how can we cut costs? Because yes, there are a lot of we've mentioned in the last episode, there's a lot of costs being cut towards so many things in our country and at the city level as well and at the state level. So I get why they desire to cut costs, but I think AI is a big reason towards that at the moment, at least.
Well, it's giving quantity over quality. You can spam out as many sub-plans, lesson plans you want through it. Are they going to be great? Probably not. But you could spam them out for a whole year, give it to someone who's still learning to teach or still learning to be a teacher and say, okay, just follow this rubric, follow these lessons. And that's a lot cheaper than hiring someone to come in and coach people through things. And it takes less time. And like I said, it's that quantity over quality is what it looks like to me. Is like you get all these things for a short amount of time and cheaper, but they're not of good quality.
Y'all, I think this might just be the beginning.
Of the end?
Of the end. No,
It's been the beginning of the end for a
Mark,
while.
You and I, we had a conversation with one of my former roommates who believes that, we have only 10 years until AI takes over all businesses. But that's a perspective. But I don't think so. I think also this is the beginning of many conversations on what we have on AI. And because as we mentioned, the toothpaste is out of the toothpaste bottle. It's not going back inside. So how do we?
It's not going back inside.
It's not going back inside.
Zambodying it off the counter.
So I think this might be a continual conversation, maybe in the coming seasons. But thank you all. I really appreciate everyone who's part of this. And if people would like to reach out to y'all, let's start with Jamie. If they want to reach out to y'all, and if Quaver wants to reach out to you so that they can sponsor you or change your mind, where can they reach out to you, Jamie?
They can try. You can reach me at my email, ms.fun.jun@gmail.com.
Awesome. Jasmine, how about you?
You can find me at my email, jmellenmah, MELENMAH @gmail.com.
Mark?
You can find me on Instagram at Hey Mark, HEEEY, 3 E's, and then Mark with a C.
And Sasha?
They can find me on Instagram at Miss Stone Music.
Lovely.
John,
Also,
where can they find you?
before I share mine, you can also find Crystal at Crystal Pridmore on the socials. And you can find me, thank you, Sasha, at Mr. Seligman, MrSeligman on the socials. I'm still on Threads, Blue Sky I'm hanging on, but you can find me for sure on Instagram. You can find us on those same socials at CH Classroom. And if you have an idea, if you want to share your thoughts on AI, please, we'd love to hear it. chaoticharmonyclassroom@gmail.com. Whew, there's a marathon, y'all. Thank you for coming to the great debate of AI. We'll see you at the next debate. Until next time, bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.